Trying to get distracted and focus on best, but it's hard to get the sex. Like somehow I get dyslexic in spite of our best. The purpose that gets us like that collectors that must be the best. When I of death twisted, trying that's like out there when I ain't keeping depth. That's next selection for some nectar searching, and if you need to get percentages, you will come into suspensions. Their questions. Even though I found stances, I just pray I catch my lessons. When I gobble up some hands, it feels like surprising. God, I'm time. It's still wild like a candle. Yeah, no, my shell's gotta die, so make sure like I'm a damn. So step is never serious. Mistaken for a season. His eyes forever even keeping count of time. Covering, waiting on his time to shine. Your time to die. It comes from it. Even if you try to, definitely fun. Hey, days, it's doctors, oh my hands. Oh, praise, cause magic, oh, praise. Thinking about killing for practically all day. Thinking about killing. It's like you're talking about killing soul practically all day. I want to hang in Thailand like David Shaver days. This legacy of cocaine, everything. The U.S. government in the 80s, yeah, that was the U.S. and the crack bag. You? As the rhymes giving you doctrine, body of work. That's my FM. This journey only make you a different you. Yeah, I'm a different dude with different moves and different views. Who's coming out punches, sticking moves, sticking moves. God, man, I'm issues too. I do more than list of views. And if you need a closer look, I'm giving vivid views. I'm racing right towards them. Like how missiles move. When everything's just suicide and that we get through. I'm focused on that. Like when pistols shoot. And suicidalist hands going clicking. Boom. Paris, I can't believe what days. As doctors roll my hands and it's all great. Across the TVs, tragedy, because I'm thinking about killing us all practically all day. Paris, I can't believe what days. So many unified threads that connect us. They will all be down. When the egg comes against us, that's why I'm never waiting or hesitating to get up. I should not tell making mistakes. I won't trickle that up. Words of this verse, it's not about me getting waking. It's about those who get hurt by the lives we may make, by the lives we can't take, by the lives we can't say, by the time we stay away trying to stay. Hey, fans stays free. You should stay the same. You don't care what they say, you want your paper chase. Say, hey, that's the breaks. Yeah, we are. But you just take it, only give that pain on pain. Either the thug on the block or the side. You could be the cop or the kid he shoots and dies. You can't be this truth that shines through his eyes. No matter how you hide, you made him hurt. How you do inside? What if they just dropped that like what you should have? Should have been. Should have been. What if you guys like played a part of it, wish you could? There's color, different, good as devil. What if angels cry for that light that you should have lived, should have been living, should have been living? What if you guys like played a part of it, wish you could have? Different, could have been different, could have been different. It's hard for one to believe. Dying each night. I'm striving to help you see right. I'm striving to help you see life for what it is. Don't be blind until your flesh burn and rips and bends. Consider this a warning for those who live evil and enjoy. You wake up every morning, far up from your voice, sit with the poison of the universe and the true verse. You obsess within that you bleed first, second, third, and fourth. Repeat it. Your pain never ends, of course you're screaming on and on for an eternity. You can turn your see, that's why I'm talking with urgency, walking y'all through this murder scene. To me, it's an emergency since we can get turned to me. Even a deep on surgically, no waking perfect. To see demons, I'll strap a seat. Certain sick mask, now you die each night. I was never curtains, G. What if they just dropped that like you should have? It should have been, it should have been. What if you died tonight and paid in person? We should could have been different, could have been different. What if angels cry? Like you should have been, it should have been, it should have been. What if you died tonight and paid in person? We should could have been different, could have been different, could have been different. It's your boy. That friggin' nigga no. Mixed like a cocktail. Niggas call me Oreo. That's a racial slur. That hate I will never know. Like I tried before slavery. That's how the story goes. Pain in his country is property. People love me. People path to freedom. That's longer than the odyssey. Will last longer because of poverty and democracy. The race war, greater war, never to reverse the hand lead. Agenda not hidden. When the race of families in the world where they can breathe and walk down the street, place where they can be doctors, not shot in their sleep. A place being black is a mistaken identity. Standing for my people, get you to Luther Kennedy. Before it's lost with no choice or wasting energy. You stand for what's right, you defending the enemy. You stand for anything else, you owe yourself an apology. Not white, not white, not black, not have more in common than not. We forgot that.
And his property in this country. Standing with the enemy is the only acceptable thing in this society.
Slave owner. In that night we came and killed whole family, stole their possessions and their friends, and I was born there, under a bad sign to addicts and bad times. 80s baby, that coke, that crack, watching the adults, and that's them, that crack. God, we ran out of chore, boy, yeah, and that's why I was mostly locked up, and I prayed to God at night to watch over my loved ones, yeah, to God, I'm right. And watching Larry beat my mom became a part of life. Laughing in my face, all of life. Laughing in my face,
you owe yourself an apology.
In the midst of here, but I'm not white. You cannot fly. You got me or common than done. We forgot there.
All right.
It's out of there, Tom McKay. When it was over, him and his girl, they said, I'm the man. And it's not just cause I'm Caucasian. It's when I rap, it's just dope. There's no debating. But I'm so over hating, focused on growth and patience. I won't sell my soul. I know where the going rate is. My name is Throwing Great, but I don't want to take it. Beating Z's not happening like throwing raisins. It's meaner than Oakland Raiders. And for 50 open faces, I blow 2 day days. Yeah, I know the pain. And I know the dangers of not just foes and strange, as knowledge is old as age, from Solomon's open pages. So my flow is raised, sharp and exposes fades. Rhymes stay stuck on stunning, like broken phases. Call me the boss like I owe you something, owe you raises. Because motivation and shine like a golden age. Like your compassion in the flesh, stay held to death, yeah. Like your compassion in the flesh, let's stay held to death. Kill lyrically, spill spiritually charged rhymes. I deal spiritually ill, hearing these falls fly. And my mouthpiece spout eating charred life. It's how I found me, found peace and God's vibes. I lived a hard life, scarred marred like shark bites. I paid a large price, I'm far gone like hog's legs. After sun up, I'm sum up like odds live. I also sum up your dumb chumps like all five. After adding two to the or three to two, 4 plus 1 from me to you is 5 to 0. Anti-hero, no problem, my solution. My fear goes right here, bro. In the mode, let my fear go. Subtracted that from the close. It's total math, even when you don't control it. I don't divide, I multiply with status quo. It's like your compassion in the flesh. Stay held to death. Yeah. Like your compassion in the flesh. Let's stay held to death. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Like your compassion in the flesh, baby. Let's stay held to death. Now the saga continues. The saga continues. Yeah. The saga continues. Right. Yeah.
Nintendo Switch 2 has games the whole family can enjoy. Mom, we're ready! Coming! Nintendo Switch 2 is the home of Mario and Friends. Additional accessories may be required for multiplayer and bug games. System and some accessories sold separately. Click the banner to learn more.
Olivia loves a challenge. It's why she lifts heavy weights, likes complicated recipes. When we get to Paris, Olivia chose the easy way with Expedia. Bundled her flight with a hotel to save more. Of course, she still climbed all 674 steps to the top of the Eiffel Tower. You were made to take the easy route. We were made to easily package your trip. Expedia, made to travel. Flight inclusive packages are ATOL protected.
Running a small business takes guts. Choosing the right workers' comp? That should be a sure thing. High Insurance is the safe bet for owners who need coverage that works and agents who need a carrier they can trust. Affordable, simple, and trusted. Workers' comp done right. Learn more at pieinsurance.com. Policies underwritten by the Pie Insurance Company or an affiliate. Pie Insurance Services Incorporated is a licensed agent. Offers may vary, not available in all states. Subject to all policy terms and conditions.
So you were like weapons. If he survives, I beat him till his legs were down. But ahead of doing just turn out like mistakes. I'm letting loose, so I'm pretty up. Like a dime with a buck 50. Get stuck with me like 15 dimes to a buck 50. Make it change till I die in God's storm instinct. Test me, y'all can get all capped like a dog different. I stay flipping like my name was Chip and Nastic on even talking compared to me, yo, I spit magic. My spoken running through deep intentions. I forget running. C-ship selection, catch me in my palm like I was Kaczynski's gut. And in the head, dog, Kaczynski cut. Looking to blow up in a game that put simply sucks. But when I'm working, I still move like my Kaczynski. Bridges with a kiss can, ready for fire. The gas man, so I got what their eyes burn. When it's my turn, I burn this whole thing down like classic. That's a comment that never been in a sense to come. But let that song come back. Okay. Except that in every moment in life, when everything and when nothing in this moment is counts. The near time lies a broken design. I hope that your result hopeless as I. My flow is divine, and opens your mind up by grabs cannibal rectals. Going inside. Feeding your brain food like Ray Yoda. I'm a dope shit, rat bash. You can't make me soulful. I propose riches, but it can't. Ready for fire, but I'm lying for the chance, man. So I can watch that lies burn. In my turn, I burn his whole thing down like I did. Down like I did. Like James, Mr. Carter, so look at bring that back. My friend PJ Soul Pump. My name is Dick Down Wayne. This is very calm. The shepherd. Silver Crowns, Phoenix Browns,
I'm always trying to bring soul to the game,
keep pushing this floor, so I
and I bring soul to the game. I bring soul to the game. My life's work continues. Happy pancake.
Sounds like spring breeze. Shine your head at me like 30 bombs and spring flicks. Cutting close every sounds like spring breeze. Shine your head at me like 30 bombs and spring flicks. 30 bombs, yes, I'm 30 bombs. I just bomb God. I'm 30 bombs. Don't get it. Show. See, that's her thing. Makes everyone around me is identity. If she was slow with any, if you're like working on that something, every moment. A dirty one, dirty songs, I like Freddie Jackson. It's what I see, we push tips, sun trap. Sleep on me and you'll wake up on a bloody neck. Don't work, like an ugly act. I front, kinda like Tory's act. Woe with me up, will you teach me the glory yet? You'll always raise like small nuclear reacts. Skip the story, yeah. It's like Tonka story, yeah. Nothing else, but I search your whole traps. It's like traps. She's looking for these tracks. I'm super up. Snaps will be happy. These bombs here, Rob. I still my life, story rap. Pretty dirty. Cheers. I'm dirty bombs. I'm just bombs, problems. Don't get too close, y'all. I'm dirty ball, dirty ball. Yeah, I'm dirty ball. I'm just on God. I'm dirty ball, dirty ball. Yeah, I'm dirty ball. Don't get too close, y'all. I'm dirty ball. America's most wanted list. America's most wanted list. You dirty ball. America's most wanted list. America's most wanted list. You dirty ball. America's most wanted list. America's most wanted list. You dirty ball. Wanted list. Dirty ball. Wake.
I got 5. Working on 6. I got 6. Working on 7. Working on 7. So number of man. 6. A loser number. That's what it is. Bad.
Attack the clones. Judgment Day coming. Trudging through the main street. Blood. Keep it behind the bridge you go with shit. Not grab this hacks.
Grenade launcher.
Versace.
Uh, put the imagination down. Close the peepers. Putting in autistic parents in YouTube. Auti- tips for autistic parents, of course. Autism parents.
Don't leave everything to the professionals. You, the parent, can and should become the captain of the ship. Learn more. Don't leave everything to the professionals.
Yeah.
You,
My
the
mom
parent,
is
learn more. Don't leave everything to the professionals. You, the parent, can and should become the captain of the ship. Learn more. Don't leave everything to the professionals. You, the parent, can and should become the captain of the ship. Learn more. Don't leave everything to the professionals. You, the parent, can and should become the captain of the ship. Learn more. Don't leave everything to the professionals. You, the parent, can and should become the captain of the ship. Learn more. Don't leave everything to the professionals. You, the parent, can and should become the captain of the ship. Learn more. Don't leave everything to the professionals. You, the parent, can and should become the captain of the ship. Learn more. Don't leave everything to the professionals. You, the parent, can and should become the captain of the ship. Learn more. Don't leave everything to the professionals. You, the parent, can, and should become the captain of the ship. Learn more. Don't leave everything to the professionals. You, the parent, can and should become the captain of the ship. Learn more. Don't leave everything to the professionals. You, the parent, can and should become the captain of the ship. Learn more. Don't leave everything to the professionals.
I just put like I'm challenged in this regard. Like feel challenged. So I wrote it down. I'm challenged. I don't have that kind of bravery. I would need to like rewire. I would need to like start meditating every day. The question, you keep your mouth shut because that's what that's their the lack of interrogating their thoughts, you know? That's what I've learned. Like all the public thank yous and stuff like that. Like there was no chance for me to not feel some type of way being impacted by that. Additionally, this just the environment, you know. It's part of the environment. I realize is what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm starting to realize like words are part of the environment. Words are part of the environment. You get it? Careful, careful. Autism and parenting. Undiagnosed autistic parents
3D printing
are hard to fucking deal with. Maybe impossible. Maybe they'll drive me crazy.
basically that means research by your parents when you were a child. Going to suggest that maybe your parents aren't bad, they're just autistic. I thought my parents were broken in a way. I thought my relationship with my parents was broken and my childhood was damaged. And all that pain that I carried around led me to search, be in this constant searching and go have countless of hours of therapy and also train so I could myself be a family constellation and systemic therapist. But after all of that, what I realized is that actually my parents weren't bad. They were just neurodivergent. One of them, I believe, is also in fact autistic, just like me. Knowing this makes it so much lighter for me to live with my past. It makes it so much easier to have grace for myself and for them, for my parents and their mistakes, whatever that I think they might have been. And it helps me to see them completely differently, which in turn gives me the license, gives me the freedom to be a better parent to my kids without that heavy burden on my shoulders or that heavy pain that, oh, I've had a rough childhood or, oh, my parents were bad to me because of this, and it's completely unfair. So today I'm going to share with you 14 signs why your parents aren't bad, they're just autistic. Before I start, I have to say that I'm going to be sharing some stories of my childhood and my parents, and this is just from my perspective and my angle. This does not incorporate what they might think, where they're coming from, what that experience was like from their point of view. So just take it from me as the little child who experienced this growing up. First sign is that your parent was not very cuddly. Your mom or dad did not like
I like this video. What? Oh, I like it. Huh? Huh?
wasn't very cuddly, was didn't like to be hugged or squished or whatever. And I took it as a sign that, oh, they don't love me, or oh, they're uncomfortable even when I go near them. They must be so, I don't know, not, they don't want me in their physical presence. And this is the interpretation that my brain made back then. But actually, this is a very common sign in people on the autism spectrum. Many don't like to be touched. They're hypersensitive to
Wait, the
touch.
way
It's called
she presented
tactile
that, I've never heard
sensitivity.
it like that before. Huh? Huh? Maybe I can find like just a little tiny deeper level of forgiveness somewhere. So I don't know where. I don't know how. But what? Maybe not forgive. Maybe not. Maybe something else happens. Assignment of whatever. Like if you're gonna bring in the blame or the shame, like the dude, my tray. I actually have a tray around. Where is it? Tray? What is a tray? I have this table. I sit at my table today. Today, I sit at my table today. Today. My God. Listen up. Doesn't want cuddly parents.
We don't want to be touched, unfortunately, even by their own kids. Sign number two, instead of coming to another person for comfort,
I've never.
rather
When
go
have I
to their
held my dad's
toys or
hand?
other
Like,
comfort
never
objects
happened.
like books.
Like,
This was also true in my situation growing up. One of my parents loves books, and when they were down or they were in a stress, they wouldn't come to me as another member in the family to, I don't know, just for presence and company. They would go to their books. That means that they were shutting down, they're going into this shutdown stage, becoming emotionally unavailable for me, even though, I'm a child and I might have needed that at the time. So again, my childlike brain is thinking, oh, my parent is bad, or I am bad because my parent doesn't want me. But in fact, this is just them with their sensory needs because they're on the autism spectrum. Sign number three that your parent wasn't bad, they're just autistic, is that they're extremely sound sensitive. So that means that when you as a kid were being loud or crying, instead of comforting you or instead of being able to tolerate your tantrum or your loudness, they would just freak out or yell back or force you to be quiet or simply just exit the situation, leave the room. So here I'm going to talk about me as a parent now. I am quite sound sensitive. So when my kids are being super loud or being extra loud and it's just too much for me, I'm not able to regulate, like control myself. It's like torture inside of my skull. I get up and I leave the room. I leave the room for a minute or 2 minutes, sometimes 3 minutes. So you can imagine my kids are left now alone to be loud or to scream or whatever, but I'm not there. Now I'm doing this as like self defense, self preservation. I need to not let myself get overstimulated so I don't tip over the line and start shouting or start becoming aggressive myself. But from a child's point of view, it might feel a bit like abandonment or it might feel like, oh, something's wrong with me. Mom can't handle me right now. Unfortunately, this is just me and my autism. I need that distance from that noise, from that stimulation, just in order to survive that situation. So my child might be thinking, oh, mom is bad, or I am bad, she doesn't love me. It is just my autism. I hope one day my kids will grow up and watch this video, and I hope that it'll help them make sense of some of their experiences in their childhood with me as their parent. The fourth sign that your parent is not bad, they're just autistic, is that they are unresponsive or they were unresponsive when you were a kid. So you might be like, mom, 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 mom. And they were like, just not even as if you weren't even there. And this might be because they were in a hyper focus at the time, or they have a different sensory profile, meaning they simply just don't hear you. They needed you to be in front of them, or they needed you to touch their hand in order to get their attention. And they might not have heard you just because that's just how their sensory profile is how their brain picks up noise and sound, right? So that's one way it might have affected you. You might have felt neglected, even though that was your parent's sensory profile. On another end, it could have been hyper focused. So when a person on the spectrum, ADHD and autism, is hyper
We never had the oh yeah, because we never had the chance. No, we we were controlled like that. We never go up to the parents. What did you going to the parents for? Like, I don't remember going to my parents. Yeah, she's different than me, that's for sure. Like I don't I'm trying to make sense of the things she was saying. Like it makes sense, but then I'm like, what? That's completely just, outside of my experience. The example she gave. Like,
Just not even as if you weren't even there. And this might be because
were there situations where I was saying their name? No, they're both trained. They both came from environments that, or that's what I believed, I guess. Why am I saying like that? Like, I guess I'm saying like I think, you know what I mean? Like it's a different sensory profile for sure. Isn't that interesting? The different sensory profiles. It's like fall through. There's no fall out or fall in. It's all fall through. Sensory profile, aka the infinite fall through. I don't know, like the linguistic sense of when you're navigating relationships, the upheavals, yeah, the outbursts or the ignoring or like the interpersonal emotional signaling. I keep learning new emotional signaling, which I think is cool. I think is cool.
They were in a hyper focus at the time. Or they have a different sensory profile, meaning they simply just don't hear you. They needed you to be in front of them, or they needed you to touch their hand in order to get their attention. And they might not have heard you just because that's just how their sensory profile is how their brain picks up noise and sound, right? So that's one way it might have affected you. You might have felt neglected, even though that was your parent's sensory profile. On another end, it could have been hyper focused. So when a person on the spectrum, ADHD and autism, is hyper focused on something or within to their special interest, it's really difficult for them to pick up anything around. They kind of put their blinders on and they just go. And even though the family is around, the kids are around, which might have been you, and you try to get their attention, they were not able to divert their attention from their hyper focus and orient themselves towards you. The fifth sign that your parent wasn't bad, they're just neurodivergent, is their heightened sense of smell. So they may have forced you.
Um, because there's autistic anxiety, and then there's being pushed. And I've had a, you know what I mean? Like I've had
for example, to get potty trained way before you were ready to, because they just are not able to deal with the sensory overload of changing a stinky diaper. And maybe as a child, even your pre-verbal stage, you have some kind of traumatic imprint from that experience. So you're thinking, oh, mom or dad was bad because they forced me into that before I was ready, but they were just trying also to make it work for them for their autistic or neurodivergent needs. Number six, why your parent wasn't bad but only autistic is the same.
Ah, same bad food every day.
So always eat the
Same unhealthy stuff. I had such bad dysregulation just because of the sugar that I was being fed for breakfast every day.
per pizza and it's always exciting. And you might be thinking that, oh, my parent doesn't really care about our family or is kind of absent or doesn't have as much self care or love. So you might be labeling them as bad, but actually, it just could have been their neurodivergent or autistic eating preferences. They need the
I was
regulation
already so checked out. Like, what are you trying to check out? Like,
kind
wow,
of breakfast,
you're way more checked in than I was growing up.
comfort
I have a focus issue.
makes stuff eating the same thing as well. But this is not them being neglectful, this is not them being lazy or whatever. This is just their neurodivergence and their need of that consistency, especially with food. Sign number seven that your parent is not bad, they're simply autistic, is that they're forgetful. Your dad forgets your birthday every year or every other year. And then later, when you're like, "Oh, Dad, you didn't wish me happy birthday this year," they're like, "Ah, yeah, I thought about it, but I didn't message you." Again, you're feeling unloved when this happens to you. However, it's just their forgetfulness. It's that ADHD brain that can't keep track of those little things, the executive functioning problems, the calendaring problems, the time management problems. Maybe they genuinely did want to send you a message, but then by the time they actually got around to it, it was like 1 a.m. And a lot of neurodivergent people also have sleep issues. So they would, start their day at 11 a.m. and go to bed at 2 a.m., something like that. This exists in my family. So, for neurodivergent people, for people on the spectrum, this is not an uncommon thing. They might be forgetful and not unloving. That's what I'm trying to say here. Sign number eight that your parent is not bad, they're autistic, is they have this like poker face all the time and their face doesn't show emotion. When you're agitated, when you're passionate about something, you're angry about something, you might go to a parent for comfort or to also get this excitement or passion or anger reaction back from them. But they have this like blank slate face on and like so stoic, and that aggravates you,
Oh, yeah, I can relate to that. It's
like
funny the way she's presenting it again in like this.
unemotional and not a warm person, but actually it is simply their neurodivergence and the way they express, the way they control their face. Sign number nine is
It's
that
I don't know. It's bouncy. I like it.
this is something that I can relate to. I never had play dates. I had like maybe 4 or 5 play dates that I can remember, and they were always such big, huge events that they stuck in my brain. This is not because your parent doesn't want you to have interactive, exciting friendship with somebody or they're purposely trying to isolate you socially. It's just that they cannot handle all that stimulation of going and having to be responsible for another child with all their loudness, their smells, and their behavioral issues or whatever. And on top of that, they might not have been able to deal with the small talk or that they would have to do with the other parent of the other child in your play date. This, I mean, I grew up with very little play dates, but I also find myself not wanting to organize play dates with other families for my kids because of that. Like the idea of small talk with other parents causes a lot of stress, and then I'm all like wound up, and I'm not patience is so thin that I'm not patient with my own kids. And then it defeats the whole purpose of the thing. So it's not that I don't love my kids or that I don't want them to have very enriching friendships. It is the logistical little executive function things that is just too hard for me to manage, and the social awkwardness that of having to interact with the other parents. Sign number 10 that your parent is not bad, they're just autistic, is that they're alternative. They don't care so much about the social norm, about what everybody else is doing, what is on trend right now or what is fashionable right now. So they may have dressed you in just like plain clothes or hand-me-downs or clothes that didn't fit perfectly, or they may have always given you like an ugly haircut. So for me, there was a whole phase in my tweens, just before I became a teenager, I had the ugliest haircut. And I was old enough to have decided on my own whether I want that or not. But it was also my mom who, was like, yeah, just do it, go. So it's not that she didn't want me to have a nice haircut or anything. It was just too much to deal with, and she couldn't be bothered with what other people thought. Sign number 11 is meltdowns. So meltdowns go hand in hand with ADHD and autism, and unfortunately, adults on the spectrum are not free from meltdowns. I'll give you an example of me as a parent here. So I have had meltdowns in front of my kids, and unfortunately, yes, the kids triggered it, but not really. They just kind of they lit the match, but the ammunition, the matchstick, the matchbox, the fire things, it was from before. So a lot of my meltdowns were triggered by my own childhood traumas and my own childhood experiences. And unfortunately, it was my kids that had triggered it. So they witnessed these meltdowns. And what happens if you've also been on the receiving end of a meltdown from a parent, it really feels like all their anger, all that rage is targeted towards you, and you feel horrible. You feel like you're a bad person, but it's actually has to do with your parent and their own like neurodivergent stuff and their own traumas going on right now. So here again, what I want to say is that it's not that your parent is bad or they don't love you or they are intentionally treating you poorly. It is their neurodivergence, it's their own trauma history that is causing them to behave that way with you. Sign number 12, masking and exhaustion. Masking is absolutely exhausting when you have to go out and you have to put on a face and be perfect and normal and socially fit in. It is absolutely draining. So when you come home, you just want to like vegetate. You don't want to do anything. As a child, you might have memories of, you would come home from wherever and your parent would just let you watch TV for hours and I don't know, kind of in a neglectful way or just so that you were engaged and they didn't have to deal. This is not just neglect, like I'm saying just because yes, it is neglect, let's call it what it is. But the reason for that is not out of like not loving you or whatever. It's because they're absolutely exhausted because they've also had to mask their neurodivergence outside and they have no more capacity to be present and be engaging and help regulate another human being, which is you as a
I
child.
could see them
Because
being they were
back to
dysregulated.
themselves.
It used to frustrate me when they were getting dysregulated.
When a parent shuts down, it can feel very confusing to a child. Like, why is mom or dad in the room with the door
Shut down, yeah.
knocking and banging on the door, mom, please let me in, and they won't, and you feel scared that you've been abandoned or mom or dad are having a hard time on the other side of that door or hurt or in pain or whatever, and just feel like you've been left alone and abandoned in a way. But this is so necessary. Like this happens anyway for to an autistic person, especially after meltdown. So after meltdown, when the energy is completely drained from them. So there's a reason why afterwards you have no more energy and it naturally leads you into a shutdown, which I also have another video about and I'm going to link for you here. When you're experiencing a parent shutdown from a child's perspective, it is scary and it feels like you've been abandoned. But this is only their neurodivergence. This is their nervous system reaction to a situation, and this is them recovering and coming back into somewhat of a balance so they can come back and, be your parent again. And the final sign that your parent is not bad, they're simply neurodivergent, is blunt honesty. So whatever they're thinking, they're just going to say it.
Oh,
social tact with no consideration for how it might come out, how it might be received. They're just going to say it. So this is a common theme that occurs again and again in teenage. So as a teenager, you might remember having fights with your parents where they would criticize you or
Wait.
actually
Wait,
be
wait,
like,
wait,
why would you ever walk out the door wearing that?
wait,
You
wait,
know, and as a teenager, you're like, oh my goodness, you feel so attacked, you
wait,
feel like
wait,
criticized, you
wait,
feel
wait,
shamed,
wait,
and
wait,
you
wait,
counterattack. So this
wait,
is
wait,
an
wait,
actual
wait.
example from my own teenage years.
Uh,
Many of you can
so
relate to
tough
that.
to
What
deal
is
with that.
happening here is actually your parent who's autistic or has ADHD is just blunt. Like they don't have that social filter. They say what they're thinking, and
I'm
often
saying that's
it
the
is
difference between
inappropriate
blunt,
way. Unfortunately,
but I'm
if
saying weight
you're a
too
teenager
is weight.
sensitive to these
There's blunt and then there's weight.
like you're being criticized, and when your parent just dishes it out so bluntly, it just feels like a personal attack. But they're just being, I don't know, autistic. They're not being able to control how it's gonna sound like. They have a thought and it just like word vomits out. They're not criticizing you, they're not being bad to you on purpose. It's just their neurodivergent way
Anyway, fuck you guys anyway. Fuck you anyway. Fuck.
led to look back into your childhood and a different way to, I don't know, have compassion for your parents or yourself going through that experience as a child. I know it wasn't easy, and I'm saying this from my own experience.
No. Uh, Yeah.
Watch that right here.
Sounds fun.
Be triggered by their own children. I really shouldn't be saying this in public, like really, but my kid who has ADHD makes me so mad sometimes. And not just regular mad, but like triggered mad. If you have a kid with ADHD or autism, maybe some of these things have made you also super mad in the past. Hi, my name is Ananga. I have two kids. One of them has ADHD and autism, and the other one is highly sensitive. I myself have ADHD and autism, and my husband is ADHD. If you have a kid who also has ADHD, mad in the distracted. Absolutely not listening no matter how many times you hit yourself like 100 times. And maybe your autism spectrum kid has behaved in these ways that have triggered you in the past. For example, sudden bursts of anger or mood change, difficulty transitioning, inertia, autistic inertia, and PDA, pathological demand avoidance. When you get so super angry that you find yourself shouting to the point where you know you're going to have a sore throat later, stomping around or slamming the door and just shutting yourself away from your kids. This is not just regular anger, guys. This is you being triggered. Who am I to say this about you getting triggered? Apart from having PhD myself and being a late diagnosed autistic person, I'm also a family constellation therapist, and I have studied family dynamics and childhood trauma intensely for the past 2 years. I'm also certified a trauma informed coach, and I'm the daughter of an autistic.
They just say what's on their mind. They just say what's on their mind. They just say what's.
To be autistic animals. It's kind of a bit messy, but you know, and I already mentioned that I'm the mother of an
It's
autistic
fucking
kid. So
like nothing.
guys, so what's happening in your brain when your kid, and I think I already mentioned that I'm the mother of an autistic ADHD kid, and so I know firsthand what autistic children of autistic adults grow up to be as autistic adults. It's kind of a bit meta, but you know what I'm saying. And I think I already mentioned that I'm the mother of an autistic ADHD kid, so I'm not just studying it, guys, I'm living it. So, what's happening in your brain when your kid is triggering you? To understand that, first you have to understand what a trigger is and how it works. According to the website healthline.com, in mental health terms, a trigger refers to something that affects your emotional state, often significantly by causing extreme overwhelm or distress. Most importantly, a trigger affects your ability to remain present in the moment. It may bring up specific thought patterns or influence your behavior. So that means you are reacting in the present moment to something that has happened to you in the past. And that means you are losing control of yourself in this moment. How can you be in control of your kids and in control of the current situation when you, in fact, have no control over yourself right now? Don't worry, there is a way to get control of the situation again, to get control of yourself again. And the first step to that is to realize that it is your kids who are triggering you. I know it seems way too simple to work, but this really is it. As neurodivergent parents, our goal is to have enough awareness about ourselves and our condition and our traits to recognize when our children and their conditions and their traits are triggering us. And with our awareness, consciously stop it. This is what this whole channel is about, us to have enough awareness about ourselves so that even when that trigger is pulled, it doesn't fire. A really kind person who watched my video about where I came out to my dad with my diagnosis mentioned this explanation of how a trigger in a gun, an actual gun works. They said usually when you learn how to use a gun, the first things you learn are always keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. The safety stays on until you're ready to shoot. And make sure the chamber is clear of ammunition. So basically, they summed it up themselves. Multiple layers of safety. Even if you misfire, you won't hurt anybody. And if the safety is on, even if the trigger is depressed, you won't hurt anybody. If there's no ammunition in the chamber, even if the safety is off, you won't hurt anybody. So, this is what I'm trying to say here. Our awareness of our own neurodiversity and of our kids' neurodiversity, the fact that we're different, our brains work differently, we have different sensitivities. This is our safety. These are the three safety measures that we're taking. This is like the basic step of gun use, but basic step of being a neurodivergent parent, which is kind of like being a loaded gun sometimes, the way you're walking around with so many feelings and so much passion and anger and whatnot. These are the basics. It is so possible to stop getting triggered by your kids, or at least reduce the number of times you get triggered and lose total control of yourself. Let me break it down into 3 steps so it's even easier for you. Step 1. Notice when you are just getting angry versus when you are really getting triggered. I'll give you an example of what this might look like. Let's say you walk in the door with your kids and suddenly they insist that you take their shoes off. And you're like, no, you can take them off yourself. You're old enough. And they start to cry. And they really, really insist. And they start to beg you to take your shoes off. At this point, you're starting to feel like, this kid can do it. What is wrong with them? Why are they doing this to me? Am I their slaves? They're trying to make me their bitch. Whatever the thoughts are passing through your head, they are. And suddenly you find yourself shouting at your kid, why can't you do it? Calling them a baby because they can't take their shoes off, or criticizing them in any other way. This is a sign that you've just taken their behavior personally. You've made it about you. This is actually the step 3, and I'll come to that in a moment. But let me explain the shoe thing and your behavior in this situation a little bit better. So you're a conscious parent and you're highly aware, you're educated, you're intellectual. There's no situation where you would consciously criticize your kid. A part of you knows that they're just a child, and any negative thing you say to them, anytime you shout at them or use critical words, it is giving them really a bit of a traumatic experience, like a small t trauma. So you would never knowingly, consciously do that. And you're slipping into this type of behavior, this type of reaction, because you're losing connection to that conscious, that intellectual part of your brain, and you're slipping into your reptile brain, it's called the nervous system, where you're reacting in a self-defensive way. You're reacting as if you've been triggered. You've been pulled out of the present moment and you've slipped into a moment or an experience in your past where you were made to feel that way, like you're somebody's slave or whatever, that you have to do what they say, listen to orders, by the way that your kid is right now. What's actually happening in this present moment is that your kid is probably really, really tired or close to burnout. And yes, they're able to take their shoes on and off, but in this situation, they've just come home, they finally let go. Maybe they've been in school all day, maybe they've had to mask their neurodiversity in order to be socially acceptable. Maybe they had a hard time with their peer group or whatever. Now they're in their safe place with their safe person, which is actually you, the parent, and they've let go. They're not just asking, they're begging you for help. Unfortunately, because you flipped into the you position now, you're not with the kid in that moment. You've lost, you can't perceive this situation objectively. This is not your fault. This is how any person would behave when they've been triggered. Now, the goal here is for us to recognize all those moments, all those incidents where our kids do actually trigger us, and then we can observe and we can see, okay, so these types of comments or this type of behavior does actually trigger me. And then that's the first step of this whole process. Step number two, see the role of neurodivergence in this situation. Just being aware of the fact that your kid is neurodivergent, for example, they might have ADHD, autism, PDA, pathological which is oppositional defiance disorder, I think HSP, highly sensitive, anxious, or whatever will give you a new level of compassion for them. What goes hand in hand with this is your own neurodivergence. ADHD, autism, for example, are so hereditary. The fact that your kid has it means there's a high chance that you also have it. Well, you're probably on this channel watching this video right now because you're aware that you are neurodivergent. And that means you also need to have compassion for yourself. You are also sensitive, just like your kids. You're overstimulated by noise or shouting or screaming. You hate conflict just like they do. You also get triggered and become super defensive when you feel misunderstood or criticized. And you probably also have a little bit of PDA and you hate being told what to do. Doesn't matter whether it's your spouse, your boss, or your kid. And this gives you context. This gives you compassion for yourself. Step number three, realize that this is not about you and don't take it personally. Even though it feels like your kid is purposely trying to make you feel a certain way, for example, trying to make you feel like they're your boss and you're the subordinate or you're their slave or whatever, in this situation, it is not about you, at least not when it comes to the kid. It's point of view. This situation, they are in distress and they are absolutely not able to regulate themselves, or they're simply just being kids in that moment. Don't take it personally. The moment you take it personally, you fall out of the present moment and go into your triggered, angry place. I want to give a special thank you to Bethany Kid Talk 3903, the original commenter who explained the whole analogy of triggers in my video where I accidentally triggered my dad and then he triggered me, and that's how we went, which you can watch right here, by the way. Their comment really helped me to understand this whole analogy of triggers even deeper, even though
Anki, you were triggered, right? Well, not really a trigger just by you, just you. That's not what a trigger is. Anki, I get psychologically taken out of the moment into my thoughts to the point where I can't even manage to distinguish that you're a living thing out there with needs. Apologies in advance. Oh, thou blue sky under blue cover. Cheers. Yankee seems to be doing good. I hear the boy crunching on his food. I gotta reload this thing a few more times. Gotta load up some dosing capsules, so I should put on some tunes. That's what I feel. I feel to do.
How is so unknown? For less than 80% is charted, so I'm told. That's why I never want them to stop or slow the road. After God made each of us, yo, he broke the mold. This is how I unload. I go for gold, and how I stay underground. Like where gophers go. And in my sound, we could go blow for blow. Makes it sound funny, like it's got a broken nose. And I'm murdering with my verbal whirlwind kicks. One word for this to describe it, superbly. You need dictionaries when I rhyme, I'm hurting. Can only be very me. Until the currency of nobody like you. I'm just a nobody like you. I'm just a nobody like you. I'm just a nobody. There's nobody like you. Like you, I'm just a nobody like you, I'm just a nobody like you, I'm just a nobody, there's nobody like you. And you,
Yeah.
and you in the back, and you sitting by the speaker there, and you with the headphones, and you with the iPod, and you with the feet, and you with the hair, and you, there's nobody like you.
I'm the guy with the feet.
Shut up. I am you, you are me, we are every, yeah, check, yeah. Every single human that has ever lived. Sink cock shit of periodic elements. Most oxygen and carbon with no spark. Connected it's infinitely, some call your soul tall. It's flesh, cause it's kinda like a drop of water. That ocean of God got an atom drop in her. See that drop is the ocean, but the ocean's greater. And it's way where all gods are. I know it is no one tell you. Gravity upside down, we've got a fade up or tragedy cracks down. That sounds like the truth proves on a track down. That's how it's all the same when broken down my track out. Atomically, I've done the same thing as a slack house. Just like all the fall in the trap house in the background, we all share this energy. Right down to the last down. We all elements like lightning and crash down. Y'all, I heard from the hate. Y'all, Steve, from the y'all, me, y'all, take y'all, 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 Father moves along. Now, one of us allowed true notes going on. And each one of them should different know that flow is wrong. We don't believe in we believe. That's what we God. Like Bible, deals no tanks don't do God. So don't like it. Open to this and all. So you can forget all the ways that you can show off. We all living off the man that was living on. If we want to bring something of the vision for. All of us allow that scientific mission for. All of us allow visit that fish's door. Everything alive and dying is it's the only question that has competition, dog. You spin my jaws with the liquid source. It's different, dog. There's no system for you. It's your jaws with
Fuck up.
manifesting itself in millions of ways. The religions of the world have been screaming for a long time that God is everywhere. Whether you say everything is one energy, or you say God is everywhere, are you talking about the same reality or a different reality?
Hold more hash per container. I mean, it's gonna make it dirtier. I'm good. The Dutch verbs. I'm obsessed with it. I get read from the Dutch, bro. Ah. It's my nationality obsession. I think my brain's allergic to it. Duh. Making it demonic. Shout out to Beach Strike. No, he got me with the snowball. The Dutch madness. After madness. Look at ow. I missed a parked car, you guys. Like my aim is that bad in this game. You're supposed to be like running around. My you know what I mean? My bullet shot straight, but like I couldn't aim. Yeah, there's not enough people. It's too big of a map. I don't know where everybody is. They're not up top. Oh yeah, here they are. They are up top. Oh, why didn't I couldn't do the backup thing. I'm not practiced enough for the S tap. And he got me. I'm just practicing the W tap for faster turns and smash cards. It's it's tough. It's tough.
Is right around. Info is here to help you bring your home to life, savings, and more adult plans. Visit your local garden center for tips, inspiration, and helpful guidance with everything from hydrangeas to herb gardens. Our stores are stocked with plants that find your region, so you can keep things lush, blooming all season long.
I lie in wait to strike. For the perfect strike. Oh, that's trying. For my secret technique, death strike. The fast Go fast, make lots of war. Yeah. You are the devil, sir. I'm not worthy. Hey, I got a couple of kills on the board this round. I'm warmed up. I'm not that high. No, I'm pretty high. A couple of kills is all I'm getting. Hey, it filled up though. It filled up. All right, so we actually got a game. Let me take a pause. Relax your shoulders.
Disobedient and Muslims. I mean, that message for you is on. I should listen. I'm speaking on them page with hands and guns. Biggest gang in the world, the most savages ones. They have bodies of attorneys and district attorneys. Some of no clue how these pigs wicked and dirty. Others work with them to kill innocently. They know that they just think you're guilty and assisting illegal. Facts are, this is our justice system, and a big part of our adult justice is where we're gonna get cut.
Took some of that after workout stuff. My brother was always talking about creatine. Everybody's taking you're taking creatine. All the young kids take creatine. Yep. myself in front of the bullets, the rockets. All right, well, nobody's at the bottom. We're running at the top. We got a small lobby, so we're all just. Who's at the top? You know, we're going to the top. I'm going to defend the top. All right, you coming with me? I'll try to give you a couple of blows. Popped at the top. Oh fuck! I missed my first loot box. Like I'm too. All right, I don't see anybody. I gotta actively look my old man brain, my eyeball connection, my one good eyeball. Um, I'm driving to the edge. Oh, oh, I missed him with my new. Another one spawned at the top. Nice. I'm getting phoned by Christopherson. That's 2 KOs. Missing loot boxes. Got a new. Got him. Got rockets. So late. I didn't glance down as soon as I hit the button. I gotta remember to like glance down as soon as I hit the box. Oh, bother! I missed my shot. It wasn't a good place to shoot. Well, actually, I think I could have got out of there. Seemed like a, yeah, the top was back popping, so I got a little piece of the action. I got three under my belt. Oh, we in here with Power Pulse, Toga. King Stefan was the one poning. King Stephen. Well, I'm not going under. I'm going over, baby.
This NBA season unfair. You can choose your rewards, which means you can play your game any way you want. I get to choose my rewards. Yeah. Yes. All customers choose your then play. On listeners, easy and competitors. Rewards are common. Restrictions apply. NCAA expiration. Get max rating.
Lobby's empty. I made him push me over the lip.
Still got to breathe in the air and the right. The government is giving us. We stop trying to be killing right and always deliver. This comes on. Waits that you hear. We all clapping so hard, we may make a million. Before the album drops, I'm a building, raise the ceiling by God's grace. Taking this higher and higher. I'm creating this, I'm making it tight to remind us. We're survivors, building the worst times are behind us. Don't let your pages blind you and be the tape to your eyes shut. Get off the wall and start and your feet open.
We know the worst is behind us.
See ya. That's a fraction. Learn all. Tons of life, small satisfaction. Be grateful that you're here and able to come stop and clap. So, clap, stop, clap, clap, stop, clap.
Don't clap. I'm not white. Boom. Yeah. Me too. Oh, the icebox is fucking doing that thing.
My flow move like Goku, one planet heavy. We sidekicks like Naparatics. So give you bosses, we give you roll for your apparatus. It's a double feature, featuring rap acrobatics. That's ill enough to crush a teacher with rap mathematics. Get meaner than Vegeta, eat you like some net mechanics. Sun Frieza, King Cold, trapped in madness, I change the topic. Body and contagious all covered in on chaotic. Now I can't see that voice. Music is my weapon, like a major lace. Do this ill fly record.